What is this sovereign remedy? It is to recreate the European family, or as much of it as we can, and to provide it with a structure under which it can dwell in peace, in safety, and in freedom. We must build a kind of United States of Europe.
This small republic with a population of just over 50,000 is little known and unrecognized around the world. The people call themselves Ossetian and see their homeland as a historical part of the united Ossetia-Alania.
Я все-таки надеюсь, что улицы будут преображаться со временем, становиться какими-то теплыми.
Следы от пуль стали звездами. Символично и красиво. И, наверное, если каждый по чуть-чуть начнет что-то подобное делать, то что он умеет, и может, город побыстрее в себя придет.
10 years after Trenval was shelled by Georgian troops, this small and unrecognized republic still hopes for a better future.
At the conclusion of the Bosnian War, Bosnia was divided into Muslim and Croat Bosnia-Herzegovina and Serb Republika Srpska. Both parts of the nation fundamentally distrust one another. In December 2015, the Republika's nationalist Serb leader called for independence. A referendum is due to take place in 2018.
Few years back, the country has dived into a lot of instability. From what I could understand, there is basically a lot of different entities and governments trying to be in control and rule the country, and they don't exactly get along. Other than the many self-proclaimed governments which don't seem to have gathered much support, at least so far, there are two main areas of control. One is the internationally recognized and UN-backed government in Tripoli, which is the West, and then some regions which favor General Haftar's government in the East, based on the city of Tobruk. The conflict between these two main factions could result in an actual split of the country, creating two new sovereign states.
Wallonië en Vlaanderen op twee snelheden leven. Het zijn twee totaal verschillende landen. Eigenlijk zijn het landen, het zijn wel deelstaten, maar het zijn twee verschillende landen met twee verschillende culturen.
Do you see any point to Belgium itself? I mean, do you have a Belgian identity?
Persoonlijk, nee.
For centuries, the Flemish were ruled by the Spaniards, the French, the Austrians, and the Dutch. It's only in the last few decades that they feel they've broken free of the Walloons.
Oh, that's good. Wow, yeah.
Peter is the acceptable political face of the push for independence, but sometimes the front can sing.
This is Hargeisa, located in a somewhat controversial area. To the locals, it's known as Somaliland. To a Somali person, it's just another part of Somalia. It's a tricky situation to talk about, a little controversial, and we're gonna check it out. Hargeisa is one of the safest places to visit in the Horn of Africa. In fact, they really don't want anything to do with the rest of Somalia. They've been fighting for their independence for over 30 years. And it's really interesting. I mean, you could just walk down the street, no problem. I did some Instagram stories just yesterday. Nobody cared. What do you want the whole world to know about this place you call Somaliland?
The most important thing is that the country is safe and peace.
It's really peaceful. People are really friendly here, so I think you will have a really great time if you come and visit. Hargeisa 10 years ago wasn't the same as now. So I really love about it is we are always in constant development.
On September 18th, 2014, Scotland held an independence referendum. 55% of voters were opposed to Scotland leaving the United Kingdom and becoming an independent country, and 45% were in favour of it. So naturally, they remained a part of the UK. One of the main reasons people voted to stay with Britain was because of the uncertainty around whether or not an independent Scotland would be a part of the EU. But when Britain held the Brexit referendum on whether or not to leave the European Union in 2016, Scotland resoundingly voted no. The results of the December 12, 2019 UK general election have made the divide even more apparent. While the Conservative Party, whose members tend to support Brexit, won a massive majority in Parliament, the Scottish National Party, or SNP, a party running on Scottish independence, won most of Scotland's seats. Since the election, Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has been calling for another independence referendum.
United Korea would expand to almost 220,000 square kilometers. This puts the country up to 83rd in the world, just below the UK. Compared to its neighbors though, it's just too small. But what it lacks in size, Korea compensates with its huge population. With 77 million inhabitants, 1 in every 100 people of the world would live there. This boosts them up to 20th position in the world between Turkey and France, and in front of countries such as the UK, Italy and South Africa. So in this regard, they are pretty well off. Something that's especially interesting about both Koreas is their ethnic structure, which is completely homogeneous and makes my job much easier.
An informal referendum on independence held in 2005 showed that 99% of the 1.9 million Kurds who took part supported independent statehood. In the years that followed, the Kurdish regional government continued to prepare the way for independence, and by 2014 it seemed that they were ready to press ahead with an attempt to break away from Iraq. In July that year, the president of the Kurdistan region announced that he intended to hold a referendum on statehood. However, plans to hold a vote were quickly shelved when the Islamic State, ISIS, invaded the region. It was only after ISIS was forced from the area over 2.5 years later that planning for independence could resume. In June 2017, it was announced that the referendum would take place on 25th of September that year. As expected, the Iraqi central government vehemently opposed the vote. In addition, Turkey, Iran and Syria all stated their deep opposition to the vote and voiced their support for the territorial integrity of Iraq.
This is Catalonia. Catalonia is one of the 17 autonomous communities of Spain and also recognised as a nationality. Its capital city is Barcelona, one of the most visited cities in Europe, ahead of the nation's capital, Madrid. Catalonia is an important part of Spain for its strong economy, tourism and even sport. Catalonia has its own devolved government, police force, national anthem, language and their own distinct culture. Catalonia has been in the news recently in what many are describing as Spain's worst political crisis in decades. Many of Catalonia's citizens have been calling for independence for several years, and on the 1st of October 2017 a referendum was held. However, Spain did not allow the autonomous community to have a referendum, and it is in fact against the Spanish constitution.